Greetings from Jerusalem, Jane. No, it's not the Israeli military that is above my house. It's actually a lot of thunder and rain here in the Jewish capital on November 1st. I'm sitting here in my couch and I'm going to give you a very painful and devastating news update. The Israeli military is moving deeper into the Gaza Strip, taking out massive amount of terror instructions and tunnels, and in doing so they are also being attacked by these evil ISIS Hamas terrorists. Yesterday the Israeli military informed that 2 young men was killed when the house they were in was attacked by Hamas. One was 19, another was 20 years old. This morning, the Israeli military informed that 10 soldiers, 10 sons of Israel, was killed when their armed vehicle was fired at with an anti-tank missile by these evil Hamas ISIS terrorists. So in total, 12 families was informed that their beloved son was killed defending the Jewish homelands in the Gaza Strip. For those of you who have been following me for many years know that I have been reporting about terror attack upon terror attack upon terror attack upon terror attack upon terror attack. It just never stops. So I want to show you, and I apologize that I might not pronounce his name correctly, but one of them that was killed in Gaza last night, his name was Pedaya Mark. Again, I'm sorry if I mispronounce it, but it's the young man that you see in this photo on the left side. He was killed last night in the Gaza Strip. 7 years ago, he was in a car with his father, his mother, and his sister. They were driving towards Jerusalem to visit their grandmother. They were attacked by Palestinian Arab terrorists. The car flips over and the parents are sitting unconscious in the car. The 2 children, Pedaya and his sister, managed to get out of the car. The terrorists are shooting, they're getting out of their car to kill all of them. But when another car pulls up, they flee. In that terror attack, the father, who was a rabbi, was murdered. The sister was shot in her stomach and injured. After this terror attack, the 2 boys in that family decided to join the army. They both entered special units. Pedaya's brother, the son of this man who was murdered in a terror attack, was tragically killed in a car accident 3 years ago. On that day, October 7, when the portal from hell opened up and these ISIS Nazi Hamas terrorists flooded into Israel and they murdered and mutilated, raped, decapitated and burned 1,400 people alive. His cousin was murdered, and now tonight this young man was murdered. So just for you to understand what I'm trying to tell you, one family, the father was murdered in a terror attack. One of the sons was killed in a car accident. The other son was murdered, killed last night inside the Gaza Strip. And a cousin was also killed that horrible day when ISIS Hamas terrorists attacked Israel. You cannot comprehend the amount of sorrow and trauma and devastation that is taking place in this country. This family lost 4 people. 1 in a tragic car accident, 1 in a horrendous terror attack, and 1 died on that day defending those kibbutz down in the south, and now 1 died overnight when they were attacked inside Gaza. It is just heartbreaking. So please, 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 from the bottom of my heart, I'm asking you to please keep that family in your prayers. You cannot comprehend the atrocities that was committed. And people are still saying, we don't believe it, where are the proofs? It's unbelievable. The people who wants the proof are the people who hate Israel anyway, and that's their way to push it away in order not to deal with how they were burning Jewish children. So 12 soldiers was killed inside the Gaza Strip yesterday and overnight while the Israeli Defense Forces are taking ground inside Gaza. On top of that, Yemen has now declared war on Israel. The Houthis in Yemen has fired missiles towards Israel, and the Israeli Navy has now moved warships into the sea in that area to protect Israel. Rockets are still flying in from Hezbollah in the north. So this country is just spread out. The military is spread out to the north, to the south, to the east, to the west, and also inside Judea and Samaria. The Israeli military was again clashing with terrorists inside Jenin. Jenin is, the terrorists inside Jenin are armed to the teeth. I have shown you so many videos of how they are marching in the streets, fully military uniform and gears, with weapons, also attacking the Israeli soldiers. People who was living in the kibbutzes, people who survived this massacre that took place on October 7, many of them was evacuated. All these kibbutzim were evacuated, and many of them are now, many of them lost everything. Their houses were burned, their houses was exploded. I mean, these terrorists, they brought grenades, they brought explosive devices, so people lost everything. Many people, they don't have anything. The clothes they are wearing is donations. The crib to the baby is donations. So many of these people are now sitting down in Eilat, and like I saw someone was saying on TV, you know what, I was living next to the Gaza border and we had all the rockets. Then you go all the way to the south, to the Eilat, and now they're shooting at us in Eilat while the thunder is rolling here in Jerusalem. You cannot imagine the consequences and the impact. This, first and foremost, 1,400 families lost a loved one. More than 5,000 were injured. All of these people are beyond traumatized, PTSD, lost everything they have, lost their loved one, lost their job, lost their homes. And not to talk about 240 families who is missing their mom, who's missing their child. They are sitting in bunkers under the Gaza Strip, held hostage by these evil Nazi terrorists who refuse the Red Cross to go in and even check on them. I can't imagine the horror of these people who don't have their loved ones home, knowing that they are being held captive by the same ISIS terrorists who just mutilated 1,400 people. There are still families who don't know what happened to my loved one. There are still a number of people that they simply don't know yet. And that's because they are still finding piles of ashes of people who were burned. They are still finding piles of ashes of children who was mutilated and tortured and burned, and now the only way they can try and identify them is with their teeth. You can't imagine what happened. This whole nation is impacted. Schools are closed, jobs are closed, all people are called up in the reserve, so people are missing out in the workforce because they are serving in the army. So many manpower is missing. They need thousands and thousands and thousands of psychologists, therapists, to treat all of these people after all of the atrocities that they have been through. And many of the rescue workers from Saka and these organizations, they were the one who came and had to collect the bones. You can't imagine the horror that they have seen, the smell, the sights that's forever burnt in their memories. So this is a nation that is deeply, deeply traumatized. We are all traumatized. I'm traumatized. I am traumatized just for sharing about all of these terror attacks over the years, showing their faces, showing their stories, including one of my best friends was murdered, stabbed to death in a terror attack. So for such a time as this, we really, really, really need your prayers. And in the midst of all of this, that all of this is coming towards the Jewish people with so much sorrow and funeral upon funeral, they have to see that around the world, people are out proudly in the streets calling for genocide towards them. The Jewish people have to see that people are marching in the streets calling for the eradication of them and their families. When they have a pro-Palestinian demonstration, give me a break. That's an anti-Israel demonstration. That's a pro-Hamas demonstration. You don't see them calling for a two-state solution at all. From the river to the sea, Palestine would be free, which is the exact jihad cry for eradications of the Jewish people, genocide of the Jewish people. That's what's taking place in your city, on your watch, in your town. So the Jew hate is in full floor all over the world, something that we have known for years and years and years. We live it, we see it. They are amongst us here in Israel when they are out now also in the streets here in Israel. And you have to remember, every time there's a terror attack, with the Arabs living in Judea and Samaria, the Arabs living inside Gaza, they are out giving out candies. They are out celebrating that yet another Jew was murdered. And now Israel did not start this. This started when a brutal ISIS Nazi terror army attacked Israel and they murdered our babies. They raped our women. They decapitated our grandmothers, our soldiers. They cut their fingers off. They cut the breast of the mom. And they kidnapped 240 people into the Gaza Strip. This was forced upon Israel. Israel has no choice but to once and for all to eliminate completely this horrendous, diabolic terror organization, which is what Hamas is. Hamas has a charter that is calling for jihad, for the liberation of Palestine. So anyone who's talking about the two-state solution, you are completely delusional. Completely delusional. They don't want a two-state solution. They want the murder and the elimination of the Jewish people. And that's what you see now is burning in all of these demonstrations wherever they are around the world. They are chasing Jewish people in the streets. In Paris, they are putting the Star of David on Jewish people's houses. Are you serious? So evil has many faces, but it has the same father who has been trying to eradicate the Jewish people down through history. And here we are in 2023, and 1,400 Jews, Israelis, and also foreign nationals, and also foreign workers, because Hamas didn't really care who they murdered. They just came in here to slaughter, but they went and they were surprised actually. There were so many foreign nationals. They wanted to murder the Jews, and they did that with the help of many civilians inside the Gaza Strip who also came in and they looted in the Jewish kibbutzim and they took it back to Gaza. And when the Israelis were paraded in the streets inside Gaza, who was spitting on them, who was cursing them, who was cheering on the murder of Israeli soldiers who was paraded in the street, the innocent civilian population in Gaza that is now crying about being innocent. And yes, a lot of them are, but a lot of them are also fully supporting Hamas and the atrocities that they committed. Israel pulled out of Gaza in 2005 to give land for peace. And what did they get? They got a terror state right on their doorstep who has sent 30,000 rockets into Israel over the years, probably even more. And now they came in and they raped the Jewish women. They burned the babies. They decapitated our soldiers. This was done to Israel, and now Israel is going into Gaza, and they are going to cut the head of the snake once and for all. Please share out this video, and wherever you are around the world, please be a watchman. Please be a watchman on the walls for Israel, in action, in prayer, whatever you can do in standing with Israel for such a time as this. Bye.